Do you know what that means, Steve Forbes?
I think she just said craptastic.
Yes, I did.
And now we wait for the March job numbers coming out tomorrow. For more on that, let's bring in the fantastic, the brilliant, the wonderful and handsome Forbes Media Chairman Steve Forbes. Steve, you wrote that intro for yourself, so hopefully I delivered that okay. Listen, where's this economy?
Which means I'll pay for it.
Right, you will pay for it. Where's the economy going? We were talking in the break about that. Where are we headed?
We're headed for rough waters. The economy is going to continue to slow as the year wears on. Bank lending's already been hurt, not just by the failures, but by the reaction of regulators saying they want to wage war against regional banks. So banks know they're going to need to have more capital, which means less lending. You have more and more borrowers getting in trouble. You have pension funds getting in trouble because they're not going to meet their obligations. So you got a lot of headwinds, and are not cutting taxes. They're not reducing regulations as we did in the early 1980s, which had to get economy moving again.
They're raising taxes and increasing regulation.
Absolutely.
Wrong thing.
So when a patient gets sick, put them out in the snow. You know, that's about what they're doing.
But the danger is, and Shawnee and I've talked about this privately, is that we're so deep in debt at this point, and inflation will hurt working people so much. Tomorrow, the average earnings are expected to only be up 4.3% year over year. That'd be the slowest pace since July of 2021. And again, not keeping up with inflation still. But what will happen is we go into a slowdown, we go into a recession later in the year. Those dipsticks in Washington are going to try and spend more money. That's what they're going to end up doing.
Well, that's the danger, and they've gotten accustomed to it, what they did after 2008, 2009, and even more what they did after the pandemic, or during the pandemic. They got accustomed to spending not billions, but trillions. And so the Fed will be under pressure, back off. The government will be under pressure, spend more, which will just dig us deeper. And that's where the 2024 election is going to be so important. What's the best way to approach a sick economy? Do you continue to bleed it, or do you let it cure itself? And Reagan showed the way. Again, cutting taxes, curbing spending, less regulation, stable dollar. It works. We've done it before.
But here's the problem. To Dagan's point, we spent a lot of money in 08, 09. Democrats had the stimulus bill, but after that, we decreased our spending. It came back down again. When we went into to COVID, we increased spending as a government, and it never went down. Joe Biden kept spending more, right? So there's not a lot of room there to spend even more on top of that should we hit another crisis.
You've been in politics. Never underestimate the power of politics, the ability of politicians to spend more and more and more. There are countless unmet needs out there.
Oh, gosh.
But that's what 2024 is going to be. And the American people realize something is wrong, that what they're doing is not right, that the prescriptions are making things worse, not better. So if the Republicans come up with a pro-growth platform, like we've done before, positive future ahead, how do you get out of these holes? You increase assets. You increase more jobs, good-paying jobs that are created by entrepreneurs, not by government initiatives. And this whole thing on green energy, it doesn't work. That's where you could cut hundreds of billions of dollars in the future. You know, I was looking back in the 1920s. Gas stations were invented. Filling stations were invented. And the government didn't subsidize them. Entrepreneurs did it. You don't need government to do EV stations. If they work, entrepreneurs will find a way to make it work.
I know, but the liberals are very wily, and they embed these things that you then have to take away from people, like the premium subsidy for Obamacare. That's where it gets tricky politically. I want to get this. Speaking of green, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon warning that if the Biden White House wants a transition to green energy, then the government might have to seize private land. Eminent domain, Jamie Dimon says. He said this in the letter to shareholders. Quote, we may even need to evoke eminent domain. We simply are not getting the adequate investments fast enough for grid, solar, wind, and pipeline initiatives. Steve.
Well, the pipeline is a good part because the Biden administration is killing pipelines instead of allowing them to go ahead. So eminent domain in the past used for constructive purposes has worked. We've done it for a couple of hundred years. It's the abuses that we have to worry about. Green energy, it does not work in terms of the technology they have today. If we went ahead with what they did, we'd be tearing up most of the earth to get all those minerals, making China stronger, using more child labor in Africa and elsewhere. And that's not what people want in the future. Again, if these alternatives actually worked, you wouldn't need these massive subsidies. Now they're going after air conditioners. You know why they're going after air conditioners? Because air conditioners are why one reason why people can move to Texas and Florida.
That's right.
You're not wrong. You never are, Steve Forbes.
By the way, we
Thank
can,
you.
Steve, we can use some more electricians in the country, too. There's not even enough electricians in America to take care of an electrification of America. It's crazy.
Again, if there's a need, entrepreneurs will figure out, Americans will figure out a way to do it, not government.
Not Joe Biden.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
No.